Thank you for joining our webinar. What is new with ISO 9001 2015 and how to comply in a digital world. Today we are ready as a team, and we like to present you the latest developments about ISO 9001 and also how to comply with ISO in a digital environment. I'm Kevin Devecioglu. I'm the Managing Director of Bimser International. Alex Kvartikov from AMRAS Consulting Company, and also ETR Gonzalez, Software Engineer of Bimser International. We are together today to present you the latest information about ISO 9001 and also how to comply in a digital environment. First of all, we like to present you a quick presentation about who we are and what we do. We are Bimser International, and we are an enterprise software maker since 1998. And we are a digital transformation enabler, and we help companies simplify their processes. That is how we position our products and how we design them. Group of companies, our software development center and our current company is based in Istanbul metro area. We have another company in Europe for our European sales operations. And our company is based in New York. In total, we are about 150 people, and most of us are software engineers. Bimser is a certified SAP vendor, Microsoft Gold Partner, and Acumatica independent software vendor. We have 4 products. We are very focused on what we do since 1998. EBA is one of our products for workflow and records management purposes. We have BEAM for asset maintenance, facility management, and purchasing management operations. QDMS is for quality, risk, and compliance management that we'll talk more about today in a minute. And we have Ensemble for business process management. When we go to the next slide, we'll see Ensemble is more of a managerial tool with performance management and balanced scorecard capabilities. We have EBA, BEAM, and QDMS to automate processes. 4 of our products, they can work standalone. They integrate with each other, and they can be integrated with any ERP, any CRM platform available in the marketplace. Our products can work on cloud, they can work on-premise servers, and they have mobile apps available. Since we've been doing this software development since 1998, we have deployed many different projects. On the screen, you see how many projects we have implemented since the end of 2017. And for instance, as for EBA, we have deployed more than 450 times. As for BEAM, maintenance and asset management software, we have deployed more than 300 times. QDMS, our quality, risk, and compliance management software, we have deployed more than 750 times. And Ensemble, more than 150 times, and still counting. Also, I'd like to give you some information about some of our references. For United Nations is one of our references. We have 3M using our workflow engine in 17 different countries. We have AstraZeneca in pharma industry. We have Societe Generale in banking industry. We have Ford and Renault Nissan Alliance, also some of our references. There is ArcLight movie theaters using EBA in US to manage their purchasing operations in association with their ERP system. So in a nutshell, that's who we are and what we do. Now I'd like to turn it to Alex to learn about what is new about ISO 9001 2015 and the fundamentals of ISO that we all need to learn and practice at our companies. Alex, would you like to continue?
Yeah, sure. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining today's webinar. Kevin, I appreciate the opportunity to make this presentation on the ISO 9001 Quality Management System. And specifically, I will discuss the changes imposed by the 2015 revision as compared to the previous 2008 revision. In my previous presentations, I presented a general overview of ISO 9001, but today I will focus on the changes required by the latest revision. So next slide, please. Okay, just before we begin, I just would like to briefly introduce myself and my company, Russ Consulting. I'm the sole proprietor as well as a certified ISO 9001-2015 lead auditor. I established Amrus Consulting in 2015 after a lengthy career as a project manager in a large aerospace company, which is certified to the AS 9100 quality standard. Now I provide consulting services for businesses to achieve and maintain ISO 9001 certification. In August of this year, I became a Bimser Solutions partner to support marketing of the QDMS tool and provide assistance to businesses in the application of the tool in the ISO 9001-2015 environment. I first became acquainted with the QDMS during a webinar and became so enthusiastic about it because its capabilities are ideal in the preparation for certification of any quality management system, as well as subsequently maintaining certification. So next slide, please. All right, this slide summarizes the milestones in the transitioning from the 9001-2008 revision to the 2015 revision. The 2015 revision was released in September of 2015, and companies were able to certify against this version at that time. However, it was mandated that new certifications had to use the 2015 version starting in September of 2016. Companies that were originally certified against the 2008 standard must transition to the 2015 revision by September of 2018, which was a couple of months ago, when they proceed with their yearly audit. So by now, all companies must comply with the 2015 revision when proceeding with the audit. So next slide, please. Now this is a kind of a chart summarizing some differences, and they're categorized as major, moderate, or small. So what I will do is I will focus on obviously the major and some of the moderate revisions. So let's look at, there are several changes, and at the top level of the 2015 revision forces each company to look at the total environment and not only at its internal processes and structure. Therefore, the big difference is to address how the external environment affects the operation of the entire organization, and in addition, all of the interest parties must be identified. We'll go over several of these changes in the next two slides. So next slide, please. So let's discuss first the need to assess the risks and opportunities, which is a new requirement of the 2015 revision and appears in Clause 6 of the 2015 standard. So now, risks and opportunities need to be considered for all aspects of the QMS, including all compliance requirements and for the entire context of the organization. We'll talk a little more about the context of the organization a little later. There should be a documented plan on how the business should address the risks. Therefore, The assessment of risk and opportunities is intended to become an integral part of all major QMS components and decision-making processes. With increased reliance on leadership, it is easy to see how real business benefits will be attained for most organizations. One way to comply is a risk log, which can be populated when assessing, taking, taking actions, and mitigating risks. However, a formal risk management process is not required with ISO 9001. So next is the context of the organization, which must be defined, and how it influences the quality management system. This is a critical change, as this consideration will form the basis of your whole quality management system. Organization must now consider all items that may influence the QMS performance, including external, internal, cultural, social, economic, technological, regulatory, safety, and legal factors. Considered to be factors that will influence the organization's objectives, purpose, and sustainability. It is advised that the consideration and outcome of this process be demonstrated within the quality policy. Now, as far as the interested parties are concerned, the 2015 revision considers customers, owners, providers, bankers, unions, regulators, partners in society groups, competitors, and even pressure groups, all as potential interested parties who may be affected by decisions made by your company or the scope of your QMS. For example, if you made a business decision to ramp up your organization's activities by having a 24-hour shift pattern, then local residents may be affected by increased traffic or activity to and from your site, would then become an interested party. You must be able to demonstrate that you have taken all of these factors into consideration to satisfy this clause. Okay, the clause 8.4 of the 2015 standard is called control of externally provided processes, products, and services, and it replaces what was purchasing in the 2008 standard. The main thread is that you must ensure that your organization's externally provided products and services fulfill your stated requirements. Therefore, your organization must determine what type and extent of controls and related information need to be provided to external parties to ensure their delivery matches your requirements exactly. Can you define an exact specification, time scale, quality expectation, and cost for an outsourced product? Well, ISO 9001-2015 requires this to be done, documented, and implemented. Okay, next slide, please. Now let's look at some of the modified requirements in the 2015 version. First, let's look at the determining the scope of the QMS. Having an effective QMS depends directly on how the scope and parameters are defined in the embryonic stages. Likewise, the transition from revisions 2008 to 2015 provides an opportunity to ensure that this is done correctly and accurately. For example, it is easy to consider all the internal issues within your QMS definition, but is everything known in order to clarify, in order to clearly define the external issues that are related to the outsourcing partners and supply chain, as well as the interested parties. All of these aspects must be demonstrated when the scope of your QMS is defined. Now, quality policy. The quality policy is created with the customer requirement in mind. Then quality objectives are linked back to the customer requirements through the quality policy. The quality objectives take the goals stated in the quality policy and turn these into statements for improvement against which plans can be made. For example, if the quality policy is if the quality policy of a widget manufacturer had identified a customer need for just-in-time delivery with no defects as the most important requirement, then the goal of the quality policy might read to deliver widgets to our supplier when they need them with no defects every time. Now, as far as the quality objectives and plans, using the example from the quality policy, two quality objectives could be established. The first being to address improvement of on-time delivery, and the second to address defective parts shipped to the customer. So the first objective might be to improve on-time delivery from 90% to 95% within the next year. And the second objective could be to reduce fuel escapes to the customer from 4% to 3% within the next year. In doing so, the improvement derived from the quality objective is directly linked to the needs of the customer. After deciding which areas to monitor, measure, and improve, the important thing is to make the quality objectives effective in addressing what needs to be improved. The objectives should be designed to be SMART, S-M-A-R-T, and we'll talk about what that means. First, specific. The objectives cannot be a general sense, but must be very clear and fully understood. Measurable. A measured quantity must be defined instead of a vague measure of quantity. Achievable. Agreed to by management and communicated to each level of the organization. Realistic. Unrealistic goals only confuse staff and do not achieve the expected results. And time-based, define realistic milestones and monitor progress of achieving those goals. This one is to review the design and the development process. The 2015 revision requires that responsibilities, inputs and outputs, controls, change control, change or and actions to prevent adverse impacts must be considered, and the documentation of these aspects is also critical to be maintained and controlled. Operational control. The requirement is that the organization must define the criteria and processes for services and products to be effectively delivered and ensure that the documentation and resources to deliver them are in place. So therefore, it is important that your process documentation reflects this improved accuracy and operation control to comply with the new standard. And finally, performance evaluation. There's now a requirement to evaluate the effectiveness and performance of the QMS in a similar way that key performance indicators have been used in the past. Again, the organization is required to keep documented evidence of the results such that continual improvement can be developed from this process. Okay, next slide, please. All right. The 2015 revision, as was with its predecessor, is driving three key quality management principles. The first one is improvement of customer satisfaction. One of the quality management principles that are the foundation of the ISO 9001 requirements is to improve customer satisfaction by planning for and striving to meet customer requirements. By improving your customer satisfaction, you will retain more repeat customers since happy and satisfied customers are the key to keeping customer loyalty. Moreover, such customers will bring in additional revenues. Now, improving your evidence for decision making. By driving your decisions based on the evidence rather than on gut feelings, you can be more focused on applying resources to the areas that will improve efficiencies and increase cost savings with less trial and error to find the right decision. In addition, by monitoring the process you are improving, you will be able to see how much improvement has happened based on the data. Now, creating a continual improvement culture, by adopting this culture to improve your processes and organizational output, you will find efficiencies and cost savings, including the use of systematic processes when problems occur. This will reduce the impact of the problem and increase the speed of recovery. By making this continual improvement year after year, the company will see continuing benefits. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, as I previously stated in my presentation, I was very impressed with the QDMS tool capabilities that would benefit businesses in establishing and improving their quality management system independent of which ISO certification they're trying to achieve. ACR will make a detailed presentation of QDMS a little later on, following my brief presentation. The tool has a very friendly user interface, allowing controlled access to enter data or read-only data based on the employee position. QDMS is a modular program that supports all the components of the quality management system. All of the quality management system data is maintained in a single database, which makes access to its content very straightforward, thus fully supporting all internal and external audits. The tool is scalable, which means that you only purchase the components that you need without going through the expense of purchasing the entire package. Later on, you can purchase additional modules if it's required. QDMS is very flexible, operating either on the cloud or on a local server. It has a mobile app for both iOS and Android for remote access. Finally, QDMS has very positive references from major international corporations that have extensive experience with this tool. Okay, next slide, please. And in summary, in conclusion, since the initial inception of ISO 9001 in 1994, and based on the learning curve, it has undergone many changes to enhance its impact on the quality management system. Seeing the positive results from organizations that have adopted the standard, it paved the way for adoption of modified standards targeted to specific industries. ISO 9001, if properly implemented, is a key tool for a business to achieve higher levels of quality and thus improve customer satisfaction. And as we discussed today, the 2015 revision standard offers greater flexibility in creation of a QMS, making it easier to incorporate the requirements into daily activities, thus providing greater benefits to an organization. Better integration with other business activities. Spread the responsibilities of QMS throughout the organization. Great involvement of top management in the QMS. By the way, previously in the 2008 version, there was a position of a management representative, and now this position has been eliminated in that top management is responsible to actually oversee the implementation of the ISO 9001 processes. Now there's a new introduction of group-based thinking in the QMS, and there's higher emphasis on performance modeling. Well, QDMS will help achieve higher productivity levels and accordingly higher profitability by streamlining the implementation of the quality management system and the ISO certification lifecycle. And again, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you for the insights and the information about ISO 9001 and and it's good to know that what is the last version of ISO 9001 is bringing us. That's great to know. Much appreciated. I'd like to turn it to Itia Gonzalez, software engineer of Bimser International, to talk about how to comply with ISO in a digital environment. Itia, please continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex, for introducing QDMS. Okay, he already talked a little bit about some of the features of this tool. Like, for example, QDMS is a modular product, which means that clients only get the modules that they need. So, for example, we have clients who started with something like a starter package with maybe like 5-6 modules, and then now they're using over 10 modules within QDMS. So just so you know, we offer over 20 modules, something like that. And it's also a product that is flexible, it's scalable, it's going to help us comply with any standard, not just an ISO certification. And just like Alex mentioned before, we also grow with the company. So sometimes we start with a very small quality team, maybe just like 10 people, and then we also have enterprise companies using QDMS too. It's a product that is very easy to use, very easy to deploy. I'm going to log into the demo environment in a few minutes, and you'll see that the user interface is very user friendly. It's really easy to use. It takes the quality team, maybe just like 1 week to get used to how the product works. And not only we're going to be able to comply with all of these standards that we're talking about, we're also going to be creating a paperless corporate memory that is going to be accessible anywhere. So a big part of QDMS is that documentation management, quality documentation management that is available in the product too. And I'm just gonna mention some of the modules that are available right now. For example, the document management. We can upload documents. We can start processes. Like, for example, I upload a document, but then the manager has to approve it. Then someone else starts a revision. Then someone else make the document public. So really, there is like a process that goes into every document that we upload into QDMS. We can also use the product for managing the customer complaints. So whether they are internal or external, coming from vendors or employees, we can manage all of that within QDMS. Sometimes we talk to customers who are already managing the customer complaints separately, and so we can integrate with those systems too. Like, for example, we can get into their portal, get all of the customer complaints, and then have someone within the quality team to just make sure if those customer complaints are worthy of creating a CAPA or an action based upon those complaints. There is also the kappa module, so the one for corrective and preventive actions. I'll be showing you some examples of these tasks that we can create, but basically it's going to allow us to find out what the root reason was for something to happen, and to prevent future problems, in terms of those operations. We can also use QDMS for audit management purposes. So sometimes, at the end of the year, typically companies are going to be audited, and so it's typically a stressful time for them, especially if they're complying on paper. And we've talked to clients who are complying with, for example, ISO 9001 on paper. They have these huge folders, and it's very, very stressful for them being able to show how they do everything that way. And if you use QDMS, then all of that stress is going to be gone. You just have everything ready, everything is documented, all the work that the employees have done over the year, it's recorded in the system, so there is really no need to rush or to work extra just to get to that certification in time. And we also have a module for action management. So for example, if we're talking about like projects that we have within the company related to quality, and we just want to be able to assign some tasks to the employees based on the project that they're working on, we can use this module. We have also developed a survey module that is not common for a quality management system, but it's very useful. And so, for example, within just like a couple minutes, we can create a survey, we can distribute it, get feedback instantly, and we can, for example, see the distribution of the answers based on the answers that we get. And for example, we can also talk about the training management module. That's something very important. Like, for example, if there is a new procedure and there are new documents within the system, we have to make sure that the employees are getting the proper training. And with QDMS, we can assign like a few employees to attend the training. We can track if they actually attended those trainings. Maybe we can send out a quiz or a test at the end to make sure that they learned what they were supposed to. And for example, you see here that even though we have another product called Beam for calibration purposes, but mostly related to maintenance management, here within QDMS, if there is any device that needs to be calibrated and it's related to quality, we can also manage that here on QDMS. And then finally, you see at the bottom right, the risk management module. And just like Alex mentioned before, now we have to make sure that all of the risks that can happen that are contained within a system. So with QDMS, we can take care of all of these and many more modules that we're not going to be covering today, but that are out there. And if you are interested, we can schedule another session with you. So what I'm going to do is just log into QDMS right now and show you a little bit how it looks like and how we can work within the system. So I just logged in with a regular end user. When you log in, you're going to see the list of pending tasks. This is everything that we have to complete. Okay, so for example, everything is grouped based on the category. We have some documents here that we have to read. We can access them directly here. We have to write a first progress report for a kappa. Again, we can access it here. Maybe we need to take care of a customer complaint. We have to perform some actions to complete some surveys, to participate in a training. So everything that we have to do is going to be here. And you'll see that later, there is like a management review tool where we can list everything that we have to do, and we can sort it based on the priority, for example, or the deadline or the date, where we have to finish everything by. So the main menu here is the integrated management system here on the top. And we basically see that this user has access to all of these modules. These are not all of the ones that are available in the system, but in this case, this user, whether because it belongs to this company and they only have access to these modules, or because based on the authorizations given to this user, this person is only going to be doing work related to these modules, and so the rest could be hidden from him. All of these modules here are important in terms of the ISO certification that Alex was mentioning before. So for example, in terms of the document management, you'll see that if I open one of the documents that are available in one of the folders, let's just take a look at one of them. You'll see that process that I was mentioning before. We're not just storing all of the documentation here in the system. We're also managing the process from beginning to end. So from the moment that I create a document to the moment I decide to upload it, or someone controls it or approves it, anything. So the first thing we notice is that there is like a few tabs here on top that are going to guide us through that process. So first of all, you see that every document that's on the system can be accessed directly within QDMS. We can download them, but it's not necessary. We can read them directly here. Then we encounter the document information tab. This basically shows like standard information like document title, the revision number, the document owner, when this was prepared, when it was reviewed, when it was approved, like basic information about the document. Then we have the revision information tab. This is mostly to just see the previous revisions, like for example, we are under the revision number 1, which means the original document was this one, the number 0. Then there is also a tab for permissions. So all of these users or user groups, positions, they are going to have access to either read, print, revise, access previous revisions, or delete the documents within this folder. Then, for example, the distribution tab is going to do something similar. All of these people listed here are going to be receiving a notification saying there is a new document in the system. The approval section basically lists all the employees, like for example, a manager in this case, who have to approve the document before they become public. There is a comment section. In this case, if we want to add any comments, we would do it here. If for some reason we need to print this document or we need to create a control copy, then we can make sure that we follow up here, like who's responsible for it and all of that. We can also add references or add attachments, okay, to these documents. If we need like further instructions or anything, we can put them here. And we can also request new revisions. So for example, if I'm reading these documents, I'll be able to see all of these tabs here on top too. And I could create a new revision to just say, I think this should be changed, or there is a mistake here. Let's just create a new document for that. We can also link a document to a product. If we have different products within our company, we can list the documents to them. We can also access the review list, like for example, when this has been reviewed. And the history tab is going to show chronologically all the steps that this document went through from the moment that I started a new document to the moment it was approved. Okay. So that's basically an overview of how we can manage all of the documentation in QDMS. And obviously, depending on the permissions, we're going to be able to create new documents, to revise some of them, or maybe we can access some reports. Like this user has access to only 3 reports. We have many more. In this case, we could list all of the documents that we have access to and maybe start filtering them, not only based on the folder that they belong to, but maybe on the date that they were created, or based on the people who's responsible for them. For example, in terms of the customer complaints, I can show you one of the examples in the system. We're going to be able to manage everything really. Like we can say here that there is a new complaint. We can get it either from maybe like a call or an email. And so we can select our customer in here. We can enter some details. Maybe we can choose here the category that this complaint belongs to. Maybe this is a product non-conformity, and we could select all of the choices here. Obviously, all of this is going to be different for every company. It's just part of the configuration process, and all of your data will be appearing here. For example, what I was mentioning about where this complaint came from, we can put here. If we can track the product information, we can also enter here. We're always going to have a team working on this, so we can specify the team leader, the team members, everything. We can also link attachments. We can upload them. And basically, up until here, these first 4 tabs is what we would do whenever we create a new customer complaint. And then the rest of the tabs are going to become active one by one. So the first thing to do would be something that the team leader is going to work on. Like, for example, they have to enter here the details of the first progress report, right? Or they have to perform the root reason analysis, or maybe they need to take some action based on those root reasons that they found, right? So right now we're stuck here. We haven't completed these tasks. It hasn't been performed, so we cannot get to the final report stage. We can only see like the summary of this complaint, like how we're doing so far. And obviously, these complaints can turn into a CAPA, right? If we figure out that there is something wrong and we need to start a CAPA, then we can link these complaints to those CAPAs. And unless we close the CAPA, we're not going to be able to close those complaints. So you'll see that if I open one of these CAPAs here, the structure is going to be almost the same. That's why I mentioned before that QDMS is a product that is really easy to use. Once you get to the idea that all the icons are here on the right, and then that you have to go through the series of steps in here, everything is more of the same. So here we can again enter the details of the CAPA. In this case, someone encountered a damaged product. We can again choose a solution team, or we can upload attachments. Again, we have the first progress report, the root causes, the actions, and if you notice, there are two more tabs in here that were not there within the customer complaint section. So, for example, we can take care of the error distribution in here. If we spend some money on the repairs or anything, we can put it here. And we can also follow the global 8 disciplines whenever we take care of a CAPA. So there are some clients who are interested in this functionality to be able to identify the symptoms, the team, the problem, like, for example, the root causes, the corrective actions, the ones that have already been implemented, the ones that are preventive. And basically, we allow our customers to enter all of this information here and to also export it if they want to review it. For example, the rest of the modules that we have here, for example, the audits or the actions, the training, all of these are going to be based on plans that we have. So, for example, we can have an audit plan for this year, 2018. We can create one of these plans. We can start adding audits to this plan. Like, for example, like this one is an internal audit, and we have a few audits here with different dates, right? For example, this production internal audit, we could see that we can add some questions to it. So basically, every time we send one of the employees to perform an audit, they're going to be able to see a complete list of questions that they have to ask. And then we always allow them to create more as they go if that's necessary. But basically, you can select from the pool of questions that are already available in the system the ones that you want the auditor to ask. So you can select everything in here and create that audit list. Okay. And for example, you'll be able to see the expected answer. You'll be able to, if you create maybe some options in here, you will be able to select which answer you get from that department. And if we're, maybe given a score at the end of the audit, and maybe, if it's below 80%, they didn't pass the audit, and so we can manage everything in QDMS. Also, the actions have plans. So, for example, if I show you one of the examples in the system, you'll see that we can create maybe like a plan for all the meetings that we have, and we can also add items to it. So you can see that just like we added some audits to a plan, we can also add actions to one of these action plans. And so we have some different types of actions that we can include. We can enter here who's going to be performing these actions, when. We can take a look at the completion percentage. So in this case, there are 2 tasks that have been completed, but 2 of them we're still waiting for this user to complete them. And also in terms of these planning, we have the training that I was mentioning before. We can have training plans, and the interesting thing here is that you can be part of a training because there is like this new procedure and you have to learn how that works. But you can also request the trainings that you want to participate in. So if you think that you need to be trained on how to do something, you can always request one of these trainings, and the managers will receive the notifications and everything. I will take care of that training process. This management review tab that I was mentioning before, this is basically to see all the tasks that either were supposed to be completed by now, or the ones that are planned for the future. So for example, if I knew I was running behind in some of the tasks, I could go to this screen in here and basically sort all of the tasks that I have to complete. You see that we have different modules in here, and we could list based on the date, for example, which ones we have to do first. For example, in terms of the survey, okay, this is something very very simple too. I can show you one of the examples that this user had to complete. Let's see. For example, this person had to answer this employee satisfaction survey, and you can have radio button questions, you can have checkboxes, you can have drop-down menus, you can have anything really, and it takes you no time literally to create the survey. You send it, and once we get all of these answers, then maybe we can get distribution of those. So for example, maybe we could say 80% of the people we send this survey to answered yes here. Okay, so that's going to help us maybe get better at our satisfaction with either the employees or the customers. And you see that we also have module, for example, for event notification. So if there is anything happening within the company, we need to be able to enter these notifications here, maybe to assess the problems that we encountered. But you see that there are some reports, some graphics that we can also access, and these particular users has access to some environmental risk assessment forms. We basically have different types of risk assessment modules. We can use it, for example, for health and occupational issues. We can use it for environmental purposes. We can use it for asset risk management, for IT risk management, and the functionality is going to be the same, but we're going to be defining different features, different maybe types of the risks that we can define, and so each one of them are going to be managed a little bit in a different way, but we have access to all of these. So that's basically the overview of the system. If any of you want to get a more detailed overview of the product, you can always contact us. So what I'm going to do is go back to the presentation so that we can have that Q&A session. So if you have any questions, you can type them in the chat box that's available within GoToMeeting, and we'll be addressing them one by one. Thank you.
Thank you, Itir. Great presentation and demonstration, much appreciated. So today we talk about ISO 9001, fundamentals of it, and as for the 2015 version, we learned what is new and what we need to be careful about from Alex. And let's see what kind of questions that we have on our chat box. So one of the questions looks like for you, Itir. It is for the, so how is the mobile app of QDMS? Is it available on both on Android and iPhone?
Yeah, we have the mobile application available both in the Apple Store and Google Play, and you can just download the app. You can, for example, manage approvals for documents or for different steps. It's basically really helpful because sometimes we're not going to be in an office setting. We're not going to have our computer with us, but we just can go over anything we like from the phone too. So all of our customers have access to that mobile app if they're interested, for sure.
Thank you, Itir. Also, please note that we put our contact information on the screen at the moment as presenters. So for future reference, if you'd like to contact us to continue this conversation, feel free to contact us via email and phone. I think we have one question for Alex. So the question is, let's see. For what industries is ISO 9001 is ideal for? Alex, so Could you address this question? ISO 9001 is ideal for any certain industry, or it can be used in, it can be practiced in any industry. What would you say?
Well, you know, ISO 9001 is basically for any kind of industry. It's really targeted for manufacturing, since the whole essence of 9000 is process improvement. However, the, uh, the the various type of organizations that I have consulted for varies from, you know, larger manufacturing organizations to one extreme, which was a one-man machine shop. Uh, so obviously, you know, the need for ISO 9001 is there for most type of businesses, and not only, you know, does it improve your whole process and profitability, also a number of customers require you to be ISO certified. So in order for you to bid on certain jobs, you should really have that certification. So there's you know, wide range of industries that it supports, and obviously there's other ISO type um, uh, you know, standards that are specifically targeted for the automotive industry, medical industry, telecommunication, and so on. However, they're all derived from the ISO 9001, which is really sort of the core standard.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you. We have another question. It is, it looks like a question for ETR. Can QDMS run on cloud as well? Yeah.
Yeah, QDMS can run either on-premise or on cloud. So depending on the client, we're going to be either installing it on their local servers, or the trend is that nowadays most of the customers want to have the product on the cloud. So it works both ways. Yes.
Thank you, ETR. Well, yes. So I think looks like, let me see my box as well. So looks like these are the all questions that we have. Finally, Alex, would you like to add anything before we close the session?
Well, no, I want to again thank you very much, Kevin, for giving me the opportunity to discuss the ISO 9000. And you know, I hope to be joining you on future webinars.
Great, thank you very much. I would like to thank our presenters, Alex and ETR. It's been a great presentation and demonstration, very informative, great insights, much appreciated. And I'd like to thank our attendees. Thank you for your time and interest. Please note our contact information on the screen. So for future reference, if you'd like to touch base, feel free to contact us via phone or via email. We'll be happy to continue our conversation. Thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to seeing you in our coming webinars. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Bye-bye.